We're talking again about sex today. Here's how it kind of works, man. You show up in the world for the first 10 to 12 years. You're not really that into sex. The boys and girls have cooties, and then all of a sudden, boom, puberty hits, and you're now interested in bodies, and you know, you're kind of all into that. And then at that point, you know, every person's journey is a little bit different. You have people that tell you about it. Sometimes it's in a locker room. Sometimes it's, you know, some conversation that might have been somewhat distorted. Nowadays, with things online, you know, young people are discovering very early on about sex from websites and images and all those kind of things. But it happens as you get older, and then all of a sudden you begin having sex. Now, here's the deal. I know that a lot of people are having sex, and here's how I know it. Because there are 7.3 billion people in the world, all right? So somebody's having sex, okay? I know that for a fact because that was an immaculate conception, and it definitely wasn't a stork, okay? We're talking people are having sex and they're procreating. It's not a matter of are people having sex, like sperm and egg are finding each other. It's a matter of are people having sex the right way. That's what we're going to talk about today, is having sex the right way. So as we enter into that conversation, I actually want to draw your attention to something that happened in our country a few decades ago. It was called the sexual revolution. Okay, this took place in the 1960s. It started, it was basically the Western world, a whole part of society and culture decided that they were just sexually liberated and they weren't going to have anybody telling them how to have sex or what they could do. So it was a group of people that basically, a large group of people that had this movement where they said, you know what, we're going to just have sex any way we want, wherever, whenever, however. And so like public nudity was kind of on the rise, and just people were kind of doing all these experimental things and drugs, and you know, it was just kind of wild, okay? And there's some here that lived that time, and you've heard the stories, and others you're just, you know, glad you don't know the story. Some of you were here because of the sexual revolution. Just all kinds of things happened there. Now, the problem with the sexual revolution is that what it did conceptually, philosophically, is it debased sex to just being a form of pleasure. So it's no mystery. Sex feels good. It's a pleasurable experience. And so a group of people said, you know what, we don't want to be put in some box. You know, we don't want people telling us it has to be a heterosexual, monogamous, marital relationship to have sex. You know what? You're not going to put me in some sex box. I'm going to do whatever I want to do, whenever I want to do it, however I want to do it. And I'm just going to have all the pleasure I can have on my terms. And the immaturity of that mindset is really tantamount to my daughter, my 6-year-old, actually 7-year-old yesterday, daughter coming to me saying, Dad, I only want to eat ice cream bars and cupcakes. You know, I love sugar. I love how it tastes, and nobody's going to put me in my dessert box. I'm going to eat all I'm going to eat. I don't want to eat potatoes and meat, and I don't want to eat vegetables and fruit. I just want dessert all the time. And I want dessert when I want it, and I want dessert how I want it. Now, if you were a parent, you've probably had your child try to do that, and you had to figure out some way to say you don't get to eat the dessert until you eat, you know, this other stuff. And yet there was a group of adults, a massive group of adults that just decided they were going to eat dessert, and they debased this thing. Now, the problem with that is that God, who created sex, created it not just for pleasure, although I think it was a really good idea that he included that into it. But what he did was he created it for the purpose of intimacy. Okay. The purpose of intimacy. And so if you decide to try to have the paradigm or the philosophy of sex that was similar to the sexual revolution, people still do that today, you can do that, and it's still going to feel good, and it's still going to be a pleasurable experience, but it's going to be an empty experience. It's going to be void of what it was created for the purpose of intimacy. Now, what I want to give to you today is a very practical tool that I'm calling the path to intimacy, okay? In other words, when it comes to sex and intimacy, there are dominoes that need to fall, and they need to fall in a certain order. There's a series of events. Some of you, as I put this up, you're going to see that you have gotten things out of order. You're going to see what I'm talking about. And yet, this is the way that God intended for it to go in this way, okay? The first step in the path to intimacy is attraction. All right? So you see this person, we're attracted to a lot of people. You're attracted to somebody, and you might be attracted to their look. You might be attracted to their mind. You may be attracted to the way they talk. You may be attracted to their reputation. Something or a combination of those things. You've heard about this person, and you see them and they are pleasing to the eye. You're curious about them. You want to get to know them better. You don't know them. You just know about them, but you know enough to know, I want to know more. Okay, I want to go to this next level. So attraction's the first step. The second step then is familiarity. So I start becoming familiar with this person. Okay, this is not intimacy. This is just familiarity. I'm learning about them. I'm trying to get to know them. I'm finding out about compatibility. I'm finding out, do I want to go to the next step? What kind of person is this? We're becoming familiar with each other. I'm going to give you some questions that if you're becoming familiar with someone, you're going to want to ask. This is not a holistic list. You're going to want to add stuff to this list, but I'm just going to get you started today, okay? If you're in the familiarity process, these are the kind of questions you want to ask. First of all, are we compatible emotionally? Okay. 2, how does this person handle conflict? Do they shut down, lash out, or do they handle conflict in a healthy way? Some people, this is where the deal gets derailed because they're like, we can't even, like if you're just getting familiar with each other and you can't live peacefully, you probably need to stop there, okay? 3rd, does this person keep their word? Okay? This is why familiarity takes time. It may take days, weeks, months, years of time to find out, not are they a good talker, but does their action match up to their talk? Are they a person of their word? You don't want to go down the intimacy path with somebody who doesn't keep their word. Number 4, do we share a desire to grow? Not is a person perfect. Are they willing to grow? Are they hungry to grow? Do they want to be a different person in a few years, Do they want to take steps in their life, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually? Do they want to grow? And because if you want to grow and they don't want to grow, you're going to grow and they're not going to grow and you're going to grow apart. So do they share a desire to grow? Go ahead and go to the next one. What is their spiritual depth? I'm not saying do you agree on everything. You don't have to agree on everything spiritually, every nuance of belief. The question is, do they have any spiritual depth? Are they even curious about spirituality? Are they willing to have the conversation? If you keep bringing up spirituality and they keep shutting you down, that's a red flag. That's a major red flag. You don't want to be with somebody who you're really pursuing God and you're trying to find truth and you're trying to grow in their faith and they're just like, yeah, you go do that on your own. You don't want to marry that person. You don't want to be intimate with that person. It's a big deal. Number 2, how crazy is this person's family? All right, it's not a matter of is their family crazy, it's how crazy is their family. All right, now I'm not saying that you wouldn't keep going with a person with a crazy family because none of us would be married. But the reality is you want to know about that. You want to know how crazy they are. You want to know exactly what it is you're getting into. You may still decide you want to go forward, but we need to figure this out. Number 3, what does family mean to them? Family means different things to different people. To some people, family means that the dad goes away and is almost never home and earns a living so that mom can raise the kids. To other people, family means mom and dad are intimate and best friends. And other people, it means mom and dad are in a business relationship and they're cohabitating to accomplish everything that needs to be done. Family means different things to different people. So you need to figure out, is your idea of family and their idea of family compatible? Next one. Do I want to raise kids with this person? Notice I did not say, do I want to have kids with this person? It's not enough, do I want my kids to have their eyes or their hair or their look? It's, do I want to be in the trenches raising children in chaos with this person? All right, number 2, do we see career the same way? All right, because if you think that career means be home at 5 and they think career means be home at midnight, we're not on the same page. Next, how do we handle money? Big deal, huge deal. Money's one of the reasons people get divorced because they don't handle it the same way. Now, you may find a person who's irresponsible with money. That's okay. Are they willing to grow and change, or are they just going to be that person? They just decided, I'm always gonna be bad with money, I don't care. Well, you need to really pause there and think, because their money and your money are gonna be one and the same. And if that's how they think, that's how you think, there may be a lack of compatibility. Next thing, how generous is this person? I'm not even just talking money, I'm talking with their life. Are they generous with their time? Are they generous with their energy? Are they generous with their money? Or are they stingy? And because if you're stingy and they're generous, maybe it works, and maybe you can make them more generous, and maybe they can help you be more responsible, but maybe not, okay? And maybe it's a lack of compatibility. You got to figure that out. And then the next thing, do I enjoy talking to this person as much as I enjoy looking at this person? All right? If you're running out of things to say and you're like, well, I got nothing to say. You got anything to say? No? Well, let's make out. That's a bad sign, okay? That's not a good sign, because there will come a day that the physical, okay, will not be, you won't be as infatuated with them as you are today. So if you can't talk to them and you can't, connect emotionally, intellectually, you're in big trouble. This may not be the person you want to take the next step with. Now, this is just a list. It's not a holistic list. You need to build the list out. I just got you started, but we're talking familiarity. Okay. Who is this person? We are not intimate yet. We're not having sex yet. We're not getting naked yet. We're not talking dirty yet. We're not making, we're not living R. Kelly albums out yet. Okay, we're just getting familiar. This is the wrong time to introduce sex into the relationship. I'm trying to find, do I want to take the next step? All right. The next step then is trust. Trust is hard to earn, and it's easy to lose. Trust is proven over time with consistency and authenticity. Consistency between what I think, what I say, and what I do. Over time, under pressure, okay, what I think, what I say, and what I do. And so this is where we earn trust. This is why it takes time. And you want to give this process time. Now that we've earned trust, now that we are attracted, familiar, I think I know who this person is, I think that I can trust this person, I believe. Now what we're going to do is test our relationship with commitment. It's not the ultimate commitment. This is the first step of commitment. We're going to be exclusive. We're going to commit to one another. Now, this is a process of vetting, background checking sources. Is this person really who I think they are? And by the way, testing the relationship when it's put under the scrutiny of commitment. Some people are super attractive, they're fun to become familiar with, they're trustworthy, they get into a commitment and they lose their mind. You need to figure out, do I like being committed to this person? Because you may not. You may not actually like being committed to the person. You may think they're great. You may not like being committed, and they may not like being committed. Now, this, my friends, is the absolute wrong time, worst time to introduce sex into the relationship. Bad time. This is when most of the world would tell you to do it. Well, you know enough, you trust. You all ought to move in together and start test driving each other's bodies. That would be a good idea. That's what people will tell you. That's conventional wisdom in today's world. I'm going to tell you it's a bad idea, because here's what happens is sex is meant for intimacy, which cements you. It's meant to be a bonding agent. And yet I'm still in the place where I'm trying to figure out, do I want to make the ultimate commitment to you? I'm committed, we're exclusive, but this is not till death do us part yet. And so I need to be objective. I need to have my wits about me. I don't need a tornado of emotions, or I don't need to be totally bonded to you through sex yet. I need to be focused, and I need to be objective. So this is the time that you're still figuring out, and you're praying, and you're seeking, and you're listening to the counsel of godly people that God's put in your life. This is where, if you have godly parents, you're like super fortunate, and you need to listen to what they have to say, and listen to their pushback, and listen to their questions. You need to ask them for their opinions, okay? You need to go slow here, because once you introduce sex into it, it's a tornado. When I'm talking to somebody who has a mountain of evidence as to why they shouldn't be with a person, yet they can't seem to pull themselves away, I know they're having sex. I don't even have to ask. I just know, because that's what sex does. It bonds you on that deep level. So we got to hold out here. Okay, we have to wait. Okay, we have to stay objective. We have to keep working. We got to keep committed and being honorable and being obedient to God in this process. Okay? Now, here's the deal. When you get to this point in the relationship, we're getting serious now. And now it's like this might be the one person I spend the rest of my life with. But we're not there yet. So when I'm here, it's okay to back out of a relationship because I just don't know if I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Okay? This is not prom. This is not, we're just going to go out on a fun date. This is like we've moved past all that. We're going into levels of commitment. I'm thinking you might be my husband. I'm thinking you might be my wife, that one person. So if it's just, hey, you know what? I'm just not feeling it. That's an okay reason to break up here. Like, I think you're great. I think you're wonderful. I just don't know if I want to hitch my wagons to you for the rest of my life. I just don't know if your face is the last face I want to see before I go to be with Jesus, okay? We're talking, this is the person that's going to change your bedpan in the nursing home. This is the person you're going to be locked in a car on a road trip in 20 years. This is the person whose morning breath you're going to become familiar with. This is one person, like one human being on the planet. And so we get real picky here. And so you need to be like eyes wide open in this part that if you're feeling that, you're better off to just break up with that person if you're feeling that, because they deserve to have somebody who wants to smell their morning breath, who wants to take the trip with them, who thinks they hung the moon. And if you're kind of, I don't know, I'm not feeling it, you need to get out. And if someone comes to you with that, don't get ticked off at them. Thank them for it. Yeah, but we were thinking about marriage, and I was like picking out the wall colors in the house. You know what? They're doing you a favor by coming to you and saying, I just don't know. You deserve to have someone who is just wild about you, and I'm not quite there. I don't know that I will be there. Let's break apart. This is why you don't want to be having sex right here, because now I have to try to unsuperglue myself from somebody. So we keep it there, okay? Extremely, extremely important. Here's the $1 million question during commitment. Before I know, do I want to make the ultimate commitment of marriage? You ready for this? Here's the $1 million question. If I could never have sex with this person, would I still want to be married to them? If I could never have sex with them, like if, God forbid, they were in an accident and they lost all sexual functionality, and I could not have sex with them ever, would I still want to be in a lifelong committed relationship to them? If we get married and go on our honeymoon and go to a desert island in the bluest ocean on the face of the earth, and we're swimming with the dolphins, and a barracuda swims up and takes a bite out of the future, we're just having a candid talk this morning. Would I still want to be married to this person? If the answer is no, keep moving. Keep going. The next step in the relationship is then when I find that person, that one person, and I've come through attraction and I've come through familiarity and I know who they are and they've earned my trust and I've earned their trust and we've been committed and the commitment has brought us closer and we've worked through things and I've seen them under pressure and we get to that point now, we make this commitment, this ultimate commitment of marriage. And marriage now leads me to intimacy. Intimacy is into-me-see. You see into me, you know my baggage, you know my issues, you know my problems, and you still want to be with me. That's why I should not be intimate with a bunch of people, because if I'm intimate with this person, they see into me. I don't want to be intimate with somebody that might leave me and go with her or go with him. I want to be intimate with somebody who sees me and says, like, knowing everything I know, full disclosure, I still choose to be with you. And I'm not going to leave you for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, for richer or for poorer, for as long as we both shall live. And I make that commitment. Once I make that commitment, now I'm ready to have sex. And sex is the physical celebration of a dynamic, committed relationship. It's the physical celebration of a dynamic, committed relationship. Now, you're married, you're in the relationship, you're in the marriage, and now sex becomes part of your relationship. When you think about, I want to go back to the analogy I brought up earlier about my daughter and dessert and all that kind of thing. I want you to think about this as it's like a meal. And the first part of the meal is the appetizer. The appetizer is not meant to fulfill you. You're kind of just starting to get into the meal a little bit. Okay, it gives you a little bit more of an appetite for what's to come. Then eventually you get into the meal, you get into the main course. Okay, go ahead and bring that up, main course. You know, you got steak, you got mushrooms, you got this. Okay, this stuff's all meant to sustain you. It's meant to nourish you. And once I've become nourished, now I'm ready for dessert. What's the point of dessert? Dessert is to make your taste buds do backflips. That's why dessert's there. Now, we talk about sex being an appetite. Sex is an appetite because it's always replenishing itself, and we have to manage it. But sex is a different appetite than other appetites because sex, you don't have to have sex to live. You can live without sex. You'd be frustrated. It would be hard to do, but you could do it. If God wanted you to need to have sex, you'd go, 3 weeks with no sex, you'd drop dead. Just, you'd be done. But he didn't do that, okay? He did not do that. Now, it's a super powerful, strong desire, but it's also a desire that you can go without. And if you decide that you're gonna just take dessert and you're gonna move and you're gonna make the whole meal about dessert, you've totally missed the point. God created it so that your marriage is your nourishment. Your commitment is your nourishment. Your trust is your nourishment. Your serving each other is your nourishment. The depth of your relationship is like a steak and it's like potatoes and it nourishes and makes you healthy. And then at the end of all of that nourishment, you go, now what's for dessert? Now, I understand it's okay to want to have dessert before the food comes. I get it, okay? I totally get it. In fact, you don't build a meal around dessert, but you anticipate dessert throughout the meal. Okay, you do. And you're kind of thinking about it. I wonder what they have dessert. That's why people go to the Cheesecake Factory, all right? They just let you know right up front. You know what I mean? It's going to be like that at the end, okay? So, but just come in and get some whatever food. They have a massive menu. A lot of it is not dessert, but we're going to get there. And like we talked about last week, our scale of appetite, right? If we start making our whole life about dessert, all of a sudden it begins to pervert our appetite for what is healthy and to miss the entire point. Now, I want to show you what the Bible says about a marriage, a healthy marital sex life. This is what it says in 1 Corinthians chapter 7. It says the husband should fulfill his wife's sexual needs and the wife should fulfill her husband's sexual needs. Quick time out. Paul wrote this to the church in Corinth, and the Corinthian culture was highly sexualized. And then in that day, women oftentimes were actually property. And so to say for a wife that she's not in charge of her body, she has no authority over her body, the husband has, that was not a new concept. But Paul was the only one that was saying this other thing. Hey, by the way, husband, your body's not your own either. He was creating an image that we have today of two people in this marriage relationship having a great time and being submitted to one another. He creates a picture of a healthy sexual appetite. He says, wives, give authority over your body to your husband, and husband gives authority of his body to his wife. Now, I want to give you a one sentence description of sexual compatibility and a healthy sex life. You ready for this? This is the one sentence definition. Go ahead and bring it up. The secret to a healthy sex life is two selfless married people on an endless quest to outplease each other. Okay, I'm just going to let that sink in for a minute. This is it. How do I have a healthy sex life? How do I do it? We've been married 10 years. We've been married 20 years. How do we have a healthy sex life? Here's how you have a healthy sex life. Two, selfless. Paul compares marriage to Christ and the church. He says, you should love your wife, husband, like Christ loved the church. In other words, Jesus didn't go to the cross for himself. He went to the cross for you and I. He said, that's how your marriage should be. It should not be about you. The secret to a healthy sex life is don't make it about you. It just takes one person in this relationship to mess the whole thing up. One person to go selfish, to just mess the entire thing up. But if we could just get two people to be selfless, he said two selfless, married people on an endless quest to outplease each other. Endless quest to outplease each other. Go back to the picture of the dessert. This means that husbands and wives, you need to invest in your sex life. Husbands and wives, you need to invest in your sex life. You need to invest money. You need to invest time. You need to invest health. You need to invest creativity. You need to continually work to be physically attractive and to work to be, to bring in the elements of that God has created you into that relationship. Your best creativity should not be at work. Your best creativity should not be with your hobbies. It shouldn't. Your best time and energy shouldn't be there. It belongs where God has given you. That means that. Now, some people look and go, well, monogamous relationship? Do I really want to be monogamous? One person, that just seems repetitive. Except I think this picture is good because it's like, yeah, you have dessert with one person, but you have all kinds of dessert. You know what I'm saying? All kinds of dessert. Like you two figure out the whatever dessert you're into. 1 Corinthians 7, hey, husbands and wives, try to outplease each other. Give up authority of your bodies to one another. Two selfless people, okay? So figure out what this all is, right? Put some hot sauce on it, okay? Put some Brian McKnight on it, all right? Just let Brian just sing you into a new place, okay? If you're into country music, God forbid, but if you are, whatever, somebody's singing something good, I'm sure, God bless a broken road. I mean, if that does it for you, bring it on in, okay? I mean, I don't know, maybe you're into heavy metal, I don't know, Guns N' Roses, Welcome to the Jungle. I mean, figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Figure it out. But this is the thing, husband, wife, make it about each other and go in there and just come up with new recipes, okay? Come up with new dessert. Give it your best when it goes into this relationship. Super important. Now let me show you what happens. Let me show you why. If you're here and you're like, Greg, you don't even know we've been married and our sex life is it's just so dry. There's just nothing going on. Let me show you what happens. Go ahead and bring back this path to intimacy. Here's what happens. Okay, people many times make this mistake that they hit marriage and they think, oh, I don't have to do this stuff anymore. I don't have to do this anymore. I've hit marriage. I got her. I got him. He's locked in. And so they stop here, whereas the healthy attitude, the path to intimacy is just circling back and doing this stuff over and over again. See, being attractive, familiarity, trust, commitment, sex, attraction, familiarity. You see, here's how affairs happen. Affairs happen because you have a married person that stops here and all of a sudden they're attracted to somebody else, which is normal. Come on, we're going to be attracted to people. That's going to happen. But now they stop being familiar with their spouse anymore. They think, they're just, and they quit working for familiarity. And so now there's a new familiar person in their life. They start becoming familiar. Now they're putting their energy and their best effort and creativity into becoming familiar with this person, and then they begin to trust him. Now this is what happens. This is where the devil gets a foothold in your marriage. Let's say there's some violation of trust. Let's say there's something that causes a trust brokenness, and now there's actually another person here that I'm attracted to, and I'm really upset because I've broken trust with my spouse, and so it's made them less attractive to me. But now I'm beginning to pour my attraction into this person. Now I actually trust a person that I'm not married to, and I don't trust my spouse. And I stopped investing there, and now this person, then it leads me now. Because once I become emotionally intimate, physical intimacy is just the next logical step. It's easy to do. This is why you need two selfless people on an endless quest to outplease each other. It's a constant deal. Be attractive, work on it, exercise, eat healthy, be your best, do your best, dress up, okay? Don't just think I got him. John Mayer screwed this up for a lot of couples because John Mayer was like sang some song about, well, I love her most when she's in sweatpants with no makeup. That's a darn lie. All right, John lied. Okay, John Mayer lied to you, okay? That's not when he's most into you, okay? John Mayer wrote that song so women would go, and then they would buy the album. Then they would show up at his concert in a tight dress, full makeup. Sorry, that's what John did, okay? And you're, oh no, but he should love me with no makeup and sweatpants. No, he endured that, okay? He's going to endure that. You might need to skank it up every once in a while, okay? And you just come back here, okay? What is it? I give up authority of myself. She gives up authority of herself. If we're in an intimate, committed relationship and I can't tell you what I like and what does something for me and you can't do the same and we can't meet that need, what are we doing? It's intimacy. Trust, familiarity, commitment, attraction. We should always be where I should all the time be trying to do this for my wife. And she should all the time be trying to do this for me. Now let me put this into focus. This is what would happen. If you were here, some of you that if you're married and if something was to happen to your spouse and you were somehow to be on the market again, what would you do? Okay. So you have somebody locked in here, married people. You got somebody locked in. And if you were back on the market, what would you do? You're like, oh, I know exactly what I'd do. What? Oh, I'd lose 10 pounds. I'd go get my hair done, and I'd go, do it now. Change before you have to. Make the move now. Don't think, okay, this is now locked up. This is why our world has a paradigm of shackles when I get married. No. Now if you do it God's way, he kind of knows what he's talking about. If you do it his way, he goes, no, we build up to this. We delay gratification. We find sustenance in the commitment, in the love, and serving one another. And then, boom, now we have dessert. And now we continually work to please one another and to be there for one another. Two committed, selfless people in an endless quest to outplease each other. You have a marriage like that, you have a sex life like that, that's called healthy sex life. That's called sexual compatibility. And you have two people that are being pleased. So I bring it in for a landing here. Action steps. Single people, embrace the path to intimacy. Embrace it. If you're here and you put the cart before the horse, you put the dessert before the potatoes or whatever you did, you need to change. You just fix it. Change it. Stop. Go to the person you're with and say, look, I want to do this God's way. We need to stop. And if they're like, well, no, I'm not going to do it. That's a red flag. It's a red flag. We may not be equally yoked here. We may not be compatible because if you're not willing to obey God like what I'm trying to obey God and trying to do it his way, what will that mean in 10 years? What will that mean when we feel God telling us to do this as a family or when God's working out? If you're not willing to support me in this, you're not willing to join me in this, maybe we shouldn't be like the one couple. Like you and me, just that one person. So just embrace the path. And this goes for even if you've been married before and you're back in the single life or you're a little bit older and you're like, oh, that's kind of cute for kids, but I kind of know what I'm doing. No. There's not an age requirement on this. This is just the way that God has wired us and the dominoes that fall in the right way. The second action step is for married people. Tonight after dinner, have some dessert. Let's pray.